is the...
Well, before we read that, why don't we go to item number 12, since Mr. Wallace has made a request to hear that item before noon. Is there anyone else here for items? Mr. Payos, looks like one of your employees is here from, or contractors is here from Kachuma. Is that for item 9? Item number 9?
That's for item number
8. How long will 12 take, Bill? Do you have any idea?
Well, I don't know if you just want to hear from the public testimony at this point and trail the item till this afternoon, or we could hear the whole item. Mr. Pikes has a proposal or has a proposed ordinance, and it would be the first reading today.
I think both items are going to take at least a little bit of time to handle. Since we have requests from Supervisor Wallace, let's go to item number 12.
Mr. Chairman, this item is a hearing to consider the introduction of a proposed ordinance to add Chapter 40 to the County Code of the County of Santa Barbara to prohibit the creation of annoying or disturbing noise during nighttime hours.
Supervisor Wallace.
Mr. Chairman, I think County Council should present this.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Pike.
this ordinance is prompted primarily out of difficulties in the Isla Vista area regarding outdoor displays, outdoor parties, and the ordinance is specifically focused on the creation of loud and unreasonable music, percussion, other sound broadcast outside of a residence or other building by means of an amplified music instrument, drum, or similar device, or by means of a radio, loudspeaker, sound amplifier, or phonograph. It is limited in effect to the hours beyond 10 o'clock on a weekday nights and beyond 12 o'clock on Friday or Saturday night. The intent is specifically to deal with the unusual kind of circumstance that's occasioned when you have an outdoor display of music, parties. The noise of a human voice, the noise of the parties, the noise of traffic, the noise of construction, noise of grading activity. None of those are covered or dealt with in this particular ordinance. It is only with respect to the musical instrument and amplified musical instruments at that, including a radio or a phonograph as a broadcasting instrument. In further discussions with the district attorney and the enforcement agencies, they wanted to add language to the package that you hadn't seen, and that's the language that I distributed here recently. And that language would provide that within the time periods and for the purposes of this chapter, a loud and unreasonable sound shall include any sound created by the means prohibited, which is clearly discernible at a distance of 100 feet from the property line of the property upon which is broadcast, or, in the alternative, which is at any level of sound in excess of 60 decibels at the edge of the property line of the property on which the sound is broadcast, according to standard measuring devices as approved by the American National Standard Institute standard. The purpose of this addition is to make a clear objective standard by which law enforcement activities and the district attorney can deal with this, and that is a noise which is at such level through these musical instruments and through this broadcast means so that it may be discernible 100 feet from the property line, or which in these nighttime hours has a decibel level exceeding 60 decibels. And we would offer that as the ordinance to deal with this problem. It would be offered county-wide because unlike the parks rules ordinances, we'd have to deal with this as an unincorporated territory regulation, and it'd be offered way further reading at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Pike. We don't have any requests to speak.
No, Mr. Chairman, but I understand there are members of the audience who might wish to speak.
If they'd please come forward. We've seen them before, so we know they're not bashful. Thank you.
Good morning.
This is you, Mr. Anderson?
Anderson, yes.
Yes.
My name is Curtis B. Anderson. I'm president of the Isla Vista Association and a resident of Isla Vista now for 28 years. It seems that one gets the impression, of course, that Isla Vista has parties every night. That's not really true. However, for parents of children, there are people with children that live across the street from me and around the block, and it's in the duplex area. The children across the street actually are in the high-density area. So there are children all over Isla Vista, in fact, and everybody knows that children are generally supposed to go to bed around 8 o'clock. 10 o'clock is quite a generous limit in the proposed ordinance, it would seem to me. There are also working people. I think the 10 o'clock probably would allow them to get a reasonable night's sleep. So the ordinance in general, I think, is quite mild and probably would not raise any hackles anywhere else in the county either. One should be aware, though, that sometimes the noise is so loud, of course, that this ordinance doesn't cover it at all. That the noise can be so loud if it's very close by that it rattles the windows in your house. But this ordinance does not take care of that, and I think we can't expect the ordinance to take care of all situations. Nevertheless, this is a very reasonable step in the right direction. The Isla Vista Association did pass a resolution supporting a noise ordinance in 1988 on our Labor Day meeting, and it was passed unanimously. Since then, the opinions are the same. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. And the second request to speak is from Larry Solon.
Good morning. My name is Larry Solon, and I'm an old-time resident in Isla Vista, some 32 years. And noise in Isla Vista has been a perennial problem that has been very disturbing to people, to permanent residents, and to students, majority of students actually, that wanted to be able to go to bed when they are ready to go to bed and to study when they want to study. There are a certain percentage of students that like to party a great deal, and there are some live bands that give their concerts outdoors and rev up the amplification to 100, 110 decibels, and if you live within a block of this performance, it's extremely annoying when they intrude into your living room and you can't listen to your radio or television. And I think we've had many hearings on this subject in the past, and it's high time that at least something be done in this regard. And I think that this ordinance is a good start. It's a very reasonable one, a mild one that does not penalize people that do want to party. It gives them a chance to have it till 10 o'clock. But after that, I think there certainly should be a stop. Many other campuses have much more restrictive ordinances than this. I think and 12 o'clock at night is on the weekend is certainly reasonable. And one item that your council has mentioned is that after 10 and after 12, how do you determine when the noise is too high? Well, 60 decibels is a very reasonable level, but the county sheriff's departments, they don't have the instruments to measure that, so I think the item of 100 noise that can be heard within 100 feet of the property line it would be a good thing to include in this ordinance. Outside of that, I think it should be introduced and adopted. And I thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Solon. Bring it back to the board. Supervisor Wallace.
Mr. Chairman, that item that Larry mentioned was included in it already, Larry, and it's either 60 dBs at the park or at the property line or clearly discernible at 100 feet. So either action would stop. And of course, this is after midnight. Some of the issues that Curtis talked about was where your windows are rattling and everything. Disturbing the peace is still a violation, and that complaint system would still be in effect in any case. So this is just to give the community and the foot patrol some relief at a certain hour that they would know that this is when things would shut down and that they wouldn't necessarily have to respond to every complaint at 11:30 or quarter or 12. This is going to be controversial. It doesn't appear to be too controversial today, even though KCSB at UCSB was broadcasting all week last week, urging people to come down and protest this. I'm not sure why no one bothered to take them up on that. It may be that we'll hear it at the second hearing, but in any case, I think this is a very reasonable ordinance, and I'm hoping that it will go a long ways to eliminating some of the polarization in Isla Vista, because I think this is certainly should be acceptable to both sides in this issue. So I would move so that we introduce the first hearing of the ordinance today, waive future reading, and set the second reading and adoption on June 26th.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to introduce the ordinance, waiving further reading, and have it for adoption in 2 weeks on the 26th. I'm in support of the ordinance. My only question is about enforcement and then enforcement costs. It's clearly needed in the Isla Vista area, and it's so badly needed. I wonder how much it's going to cost us, that's all. I wonder perhaps we could have some estimate of that.
I made a note to myself to try to make some type of a fiscal review by working with the district attorney and the courts to see what they anticipate an impact might be. There's always some impact.
Mr. Chairman, I would hope, and Mr. Pike maybe could comment on this, that people would be given the opportunity to post bail on these issues, just like a nude bathing citation, so that hopefully, unless people are going to contest it, and I guess the constitutionality of the ordinance, it's unbelievable to me that anybody would say that they weren't causing that much noise after a certain hour with an amplified outside music. But we'll find out, I guess, as this goes through the process.
Okay, unless there are further comments, we have a motion made and seconded for introduction. May we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Miyoshi?
Aye.
Mrs. Owens?
Aye.
Ms. Ochoa? Dr. Wallace?
Aye.
Mr. Rogers?
Aye. Motion passes unanimously and so ordered for introduction. Let's go on to item number 8, since Mr.